welcome to Crafting on the Plains. My name is Jacintha, and this is my channel about counted cross stitch, as well as sometimes knitting, quilting, sewing, and other crafty endeavors. This week it's all about the cross stitch, and I've got quite a bit to show y'all. If you are new here, welcome, and if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. I really appreciate all of you that take the time to check out my Flosstube. And if you have not already, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps me out, and it also helps YouTube know what kinds of videos that you want to see. So yes, I would love it if you would consider being a subscriber and liking my videos. I am gonna kind of get into it because I have quite a bit to show. I've actually been doing a bit of fully finishing. So this, I don't know if it was this past weekend or the weekend before, but sometime since I've spoken to you last, I went through and I sort of was getting stressed out by not really like my stash, like the size of it, but just the way things were organized, the way my whips were organized. And so I went through and I organized my whips, at least more or less. I have pulled out, specific whips that I want to be focusing on over the next month or so. And then the other ones that I know I'm going to kind of let hang out for a while, I put away in my craft room. And then I sort of did a little bit of stash organization. But while I was doing that, I had to move my gigantic pile of finishes that I have done nothing with. And so that really motivated me to say, okay, you know what? We need to do some fully finishing. So I did some fully finishing. One of my items is actually not here with me. I will show you next week, and that's because it's at the county fair. So I'm really excited. I was not planning on entering the county fair this year. I did not enter the state fair because that's a lot of you have to take it all the way to Oklahoma City. I live in Oklahoma, and I don't live in Oklahoma City. I live about an hour away. And you have to pre-register and all that. And so this piece, I just happened to get it framed. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to take it up to the county fair. It's not the piece that I had really planned on taking to the fair, but whatever. We'll see if I get a ribbon, and if I don't, it's fine. I do want to try to support my county fair whenever possible, and make sure the items are being entered. So we'll see how it goes. But so I did frame something that you're not going to see yet. Hopefully I'll show it to you next week, with a ribbon attached to it. And then I did finish a couple other pieces. So these are two pieces that I fully finished. And let's talk about this one. This one is Raccoon Rabble by Plum Street. I love these little animal trios. And there it is. It's so cute. I love the baby raccoon up top. And I stitched this last fall. And I got it done towards the end of the season, and I just knew that I wasn't going to get it finished in time to actually display it, so I just left it till this year. And so I have this one. And what I did is I just backed it with some metallic orange fabric, and I stuffed it. I'm trying to remember what I did. I stuffed it with a mixture of polyfill and some poly pellets. I don't think I put enough poly pellets in there, because I can't really tell a difference, and I really hate working with the poly pellets. So I need to get better at using them, because I do think that adding a little bit of weight at the bottom of my pillow finishes will help them stand up and have a little bit more structure. So, but there it is. It's so cute. And I stitched this on 36 count. I believe it was Milk and Honey by Fiber on a Whim. That sounds right. And I used probably most of the called for in a mix of called for and DMC close colors. So there's that one. So this one's going to be displayed. It's being displayed, and I'm going to finish putting up my fall decorations this weekend. And then this one is another piece that's from the same collection from Plum Street. And this one I stitched with my friend Sarah from Handmade by Sarah W. We stitched this together. We both love these animal stacks, animal trios, whatever you want to call them. And I did it really similar to the other one, where this is a backing that Sarah sent me so that we would have matching backs for our Bigfoot. And this one's called Bigfoot Bunch. and it's so cute. This one I made some modifications on, mostly on accident because I misread the chart. So some of the colors are not where they're supposed to be. Like the little flowers are not supposed to be white. You can hardly see them. I misread the chart on that. But I used a mix of the called for and the DMC. And it's really cute. This one I made a little bit bigger than this one because there's a lot more pieces that kind of stick out, you know, past the border. And so I wanted to make sure that you could see those and they didn't get trapped in the border. So that's why this one's a little bit bigger, but they're both stitched on the exact same fabric. I like to leave these without a trim. I know a lot of people put trim on them and I think it looks cute. For just my personal aesthetic, since they already have a really bold border, I don't think they need it, but I do think it's cute. I might add trim at some point, but I didn't have any that worked and I really just liked it without it for now. So there's my pieces. They're so cute. And even though Bigfoot Bunch is not exactly a fall piece, it's probably going to live in my house all year round because we love Bigfoot in our home. So those are my fully finishes that I have. I have one finish, and that is I Heart Coffee by Mill Hill. And this was a kit. This is obviously, I have not fully finished it. It's going to be an ornament, and there's a little charm that will hang down at the bottom, but I can't put that on until I cut it out. So I do need to make some time to go ahead and finish this one, but I am really happy to have it done. This one was a surprising amount of beads. I don't know. This is the third Mill Hill I've ever done, so I don't know what is a normal amount of beads, but I felt like this one had more than I thought. But I'm really happy about that. And this one took me a few months to get done, which is kind of sad, but it's just because I would put it away and not work on it for like weeks and weeks and weeks at a time. Okay, so those are my finishes. I want to show you I have 2 new starts and then I've got some whips. So let's get into it. So my first new start is in my little mini folio that I made, which is where I house my Mill Hills. So because I finished one Mill Hill, I had to start another. That's just the rules. I don't make them. I just follow them. So in here is, oh, it's all wrapped up. I should have prepped better. I'm going to try to pull it out so it's not so glary. But it is the Autumn Harvest Collection to go. That's what it looks like. And I'm dropping my beads everywhere. I really don't want to lose my beads. And this is where I am. This one I started over Labor Day weekend. My family and I always travel down to Southeast Oklahoma for, well, not always, I guess. That's not true. But we try to, when we can, travel to Southeast Oklahoma for Labor Day weekend. And sometimes we'll just go for a couple hours and then come back. But this year we decided, you know what the heck, we're going to get a hotel and just stay the night. So, but usually we do just sort of go down for the day. But we decided to do that. So I started this because I thought it'd be a perfect like hotel. That doesn't really help at all. Hotel car project thing. Because it's perforated paper. And so this is where I got to. That's slightly better. You can see my needle. My needle is back there. Okay. There we go. So, and this cup is 1 row shorter than it's supposed to be because I was doing it in the car and not paying close attention. And so, but I figured it out like in here somewhere when I'd already done all of that. So I just thought, you know what, it's going to be customized. It's fine. But this has gone really quickly. And I'm not exactly color completing, but I'm kind of color completing. And I really like it. This is a fun one to stitch. It's a lot of just like blocks of color, whereas some of the Mill Hills I feel like are a little bit more, not exactly confetti, but so this is a really like mindless one. Apparently not too mindless though, or else you'll skip a whole row. So that was my first start over the Labor Day weekend. And then I had another start that I actually started, I think, on Labor Day. I think I started this one actually on Labor Day. Yes, I did. And it is for a stitch along that is being hosted by Caroline's Stitch Corner. I was going to say Caroline's Cross Stitch Corner, but I think it's Caroline's Stitch Corner. She is here on Flosstube, and she's a great Flosstube. If you, for some reason, have not seen her and you've seen me, definitely check her out. I will link her below. But Caroline and I have very similar taste when it comes to patterns, and she decided to host something called Sunflower September, which is you stitch sunflower pieces in September. I mean, it's perfect. So she also has this piece, and I think is going to start at some point in the month. This is Honey of a Tiny Town, and it's by Heart and Hand, and I bought this. I've had my eye on it for a while, and I just picked it up one time at 123 Stitch, and I had been thinking about starting it, but really kind of just wanted an excuse. And so when she said that she was going to be doing sunflowers, I knew that I wanted to start this piece for September. So here we are, and this is my little start. Just got threads attached to it. So there it is. That's bad. So I've only done a little bit, but it's not a huge pattern. And I'm stitching this on 32 count Wren by Picture This Plus. I wanted to do 32 count because the pattern does include some buttons, and I wanted to make sure that they fit correctly. I think at 36 it would have been fine, or 28, but I've been sort of enjoying 32 count as well. So here it is. So I've done the hive, that's where I started, and I'm on this blue house. And it's so cute. Having a hard time with focusing today, but there we are. So I love it. I am using mostly the DMC alternatives. This chart calls for all fancy floss. And with it being such small sections, I personally, your mileage may vary, I personally don't feel like it's necessary to buy, I mean, there's probably 20 something fancy flosses in here. I had a couple in my stash already, so of course I used those. And then there was like, I think I bought 2 or 3. So the ones I purchased were, I'm going to pull it out. The actual fancy flosses I'm using are Blacksmith Blue, which is this house here, which actually isn't as variegated as I thought it was. So I probably could have just used the DMC, but I went ahead and got it, and it's a beautiful color. Blacksmith Blue, Dublin Bay, which also looked more variegated in the pictures. Maybe it is a bit variegated. And I bought Gingerbread, which is quite variegated. And then I also have Blue Jeans, and these are all classic colors. I have Weeks Blue Jeans, but it's in a different project right now, and I have like one little motif to stitch in it, and then I'm going to put it on this ring. So, and then I had Black Coffee just in my stash from something else. So those are the fancy flosses that you're using. I would honestly say probably Blue Jeans, Dublin Bay, and Gingerbread would be the only ones, like, if you wanted some variegation. But even then, I think you could get away with just 100% DMC, and that'd be fine as well. So I want to talk for just a second about my floss organization, because another thing I did over the weekend, or the whatever day it was that I just decided I needed to do something with my stash and my projects, is I organized my floss, because I have gotten into a habit of just chunking my floss in the bottom of my project bag and not organizing it, not doing anything with it. And it's been fine, but I will admit there are challenges to it. I've misplaced some flosses, things like that. So what I did is I went through and I am starting to organize all of my projects and put my flosses on floss rings or some type of organizational system. So this one I did that for. And what I actually did is the fancy flosses I just put on their rings, whatever. I just kept on their tags. These are my DMCs, and they look a little bit rugged. look a little bit raggedy right now, but that's okay. So what I have done is on my DMCs, I just pulled out a couple lengths. So I'll show you a good example. I just pulled out a couple lengths of the DMC off of my like master floss drop set. I don't have a full master DMC set or anything, but I have quite a few DMCs and I'm building a master collection slowly. And so I realized that I do a lot of repurchasing because it's pulled out of my like main floss binder and in a project bag or, you know, whatever. So, or I have to remember, okay, it's in that project. I know there's organization like Notion, people use spreadsheets. I've tried various different spreadsheets, different methods, and I just forget to update them. So having the physical, like I have all my floss in a binder in DMC number order, and to be, when I'm kitting something up or looking if I have the floss when I'm kitting something up, I will just go through my binder. And so that's just for me visually the easiest way to figure that out. And this way the actual main skein of it stays in the binder, and this one I just have a few lengths of it. And I think for this project I won't need more than a couple lengths of any particular floss. In other projects I might pull more off of the main floss drop or the main skein, and then of course if I run out I can always just go get some more, so because it's just another room. So that's my organization system that I'm trying right now, seeing if it works out. If y'all have any like great tips for organizing your flosses, like what you do, I would love to hear it. I would love to hear more. Right now I have my fancy flosses on rings by Dyer, and I'm getting more and more fancy flosses, so that's becoming less of a practical solution. So I would love to hear about your floss organization and your stash organization in general methods. Okay, so those are my new starts. Now I have got, I don't know what's happening in my voice. I think it's just allergies. Now I have got my whips, and I just have a couple whips because I've really been trying to focus on working on just a few things and getting lots of progress in on them. So this whip is coming out of Winds of Autumn by Blackbird Designs, and this is Nebraska Prairie. And this is my piece that I'm doing for the season ahead stitch along with Textile Crafts, Textile Designs. So that's what it looks like. And I'm almost done. I thought I would have a finish on this, and I would have if I had worked on it last night, but I did some knitting last night instead. So I'm so close to a finish. And it's looking so pretty. So I have one more little flower tree thing here, and then I basically have like a little motif and the date or the year, and then I need to finish up this little line and finish up a little bit of this border. So it's a very quick piece. I'm going to turn it into a drum. I'm going to try to finish it as soon as I get done with it. That way it actually gets displayed and finished, because I'm trying to make a resolution to finish my projects more and not drop them on the floor. Okay, so I'm stitching this on a scrap piece of 36 count fiber on a whim wheat, I think it's called, and I'm doing it 1/2, which is unusual for me, but I'm really getting into the 1/2 for like this kind of sampler primitive style stitching. So I love it, and I'm using all the called for floss. I wanted to show you my organization. Now, this organization is going to look kind of crazy because I have 2 projects in this bag because they're both out of Winds of Autumn. The other one is the actual Winds of Autumn, but I haven't worked on it, so I'm not really showing it to you. I haven't worked on the last couple weeks. But I'm using Weeks, which is the called for. And the thing that I don't like about their floss drops is, or their like tags, I guess, is that I'll pull one out. They only have the one spot. They don't have like a hangy part, right? Like they're short. as opposed to the other ones that are often long and then have a hole at the top as well. So I have previously put these on floss, like on a ring, but I find it difficult. It's not impossible, but it's just a little bit annoying to pull the floss off of it, as well as like feed it back in when you have a extra little piece or whatever. So I am using Flossaway bags, and I really like Flossaway bags for if I'm just doing a small project. I'll put some Flossaway bags. I use my Flossaway bags for so many things. I've used them for like little yarn scraps for knitting. I use them for my daughter's diamond painting. Like I use them for everything. So, this is what I've done is I've put them in some Flossaway bags. And the reason this is so many flosses is because I have both Nebraska Prairie and Winds of Autumn kitted up in the same bag because they're using the same book. So I didn't want to have two different bags with one single book that was going to be in one or the other. So they're just both in the same bag. And I'm just going to put all my Winds of Autumn pieces that I'm working on, keep them in the same bag. So these are all of the flosses for both patterns because there is some overlap where they do use the same flosses. They both use several of the same flosses. Obviously, Winds of Autumn has a lot more flosses because it's a much bigger pattern. So I just put them by like alphabetical. So I put like the A's and B's and then the C. I kind of just grouped them so there was like 3-ish flosses per bag. And that's where they are. And then they're on a ring. And I've been loving this method. So that might be a solution to storing your weeks if you don't want to floss drop them. Okay. Now my last whip. I've worked on a couple other things, but it's really been just like 15 minutes, like a few stitches. There's one project that I think I actually ripped out more than I added, so that one's in timeout, and I don't know when I'm gonna touch it again, but it's fine. So the other project that I worked on is my Dimensions Gold Collection Wind Moon Fairy. This is another project that I am stitching with Caroline. We are doing the Dimensions Fairy Sal, which I don't know if anyone else has joined us. I saw a couple people saying they were going to, but so if you've thought about starting this pattern or any of the Dimensions series, please use our hashtag and tag us, because I would love to see some more of these Dimensions fairies. And I know a few people are stitching them, so. But this is where I am. It's upside down. And I've gotten quite a bit done. So I made it to the edge. So here I am. This is her arm, which I had done previously. And then like part of the moon, and then this is the little like shawl. And I backstitched most of everything. Like I backstitched that whole shawl area. And then this part that's like flat, if you see how this is so big, it's unwieldy. And of course I've worked on it in a place that is awkward. Okay, that's much better. All right, so this part that's flat here, that's the edge. So I've now made it to an edge. And so now I have to decide, do I want to come across and get to the other edge? Do I want to start working up along one of the sides? I'm not really sure. Not really sure what I want to do, but I started in the middle because I'm using the actual kit fabric and I wanted to make sure that I had the right amount of margin, and that's a perfectly good amount of margin. So there we are. So really happy. And then this is the outline of her wing. So I might actually do her wing next because that looks really fun. But I kind of want to get back into these blues because they're so pretty. So we'll see. I don't know what I'm going to do next, but there it is. I'm really, really happy with this project. I would love to know, I'm asking you guys so many questions today, but if you work on Dimensions, how do you do you have a game plan? Like, how do you decide what you're going to stitch next? Because I don't know why, but like I have a full coverage and that one I'm doing by like pages, and this one is just 2 pages. So I don't know. I just feel like I sometimes feel a little adrift on like how to choose what to work on next. So if you just stitch a lot of Dimensions and you have like a plan on how you go about knocking out bits of them, I would love to know. But I'm very happy with this, and I love it. And I'm using all kit everything, just all of it. And I will say, so today I actually like ironed my crunchy Ada, and I use a little bit of water, just like spritz a little bit of water when I iron. Not all of the pieces, some of the fabrics and flosses I know you cannot do that for, but this one I felt like I probably could, and I will say it softened it up quite a bit. I know some people do not iron their stuff specifically because they want their Ada to be really stiff. They feel like it's more strong that way. I actually am pretty happy that this softened up because I think it's going to be a little bit more pleasant to work with. So that's just a tip, is if you really hate the Dimensions fabric and you want to continue to work with it, maybe just spray a little bit of water and iron it. And it does, I mean, it's still stiff, but it's not as stiff as it was when I first started. So there's that. So those are all my projects. Like I said, I worked on a couple other things, but they were not substantial. I have been knitting on my daughter's sweater, but it's just the same. I'm just doing the body, so it really doesn't look terribly different. I'm going to show you when I get to a new point. And yeah, so I did switch out my backdrop piece. So usually I have my beautiful HL's moth, which I love. It's still up, but it's just in a different part. But this one, I felt like, because we're getting into the spooky season, the fact that it's a witch and a little fox, that's what that animal's called, I thought it'd be cute. So this is something called Fairy Tales at Bedtime, I think is what it's called, but it's by Cute Patterns by Maria. So I love this piece. It's got a lot of amazing backstitch and blends and all that stuff. So I like to have this one up. I have another piece that's fall that I want to put up, but I don't have the frame stuff for it yet. So hopefully I'll get that switched out soon. But I'm going to try to switch out my pieces in the back if I can for the seasons. It's a little difficult because I have to use ones that don't have any glass on them, or else it's just, you can't see the pieces, just glare from my ring light. And I like to use glass on my projects. I know that's kind of, some people don't, but my house, like the place where I live, gets really dusty, and I don't know why that is, because I've never lived in a house that got dusty like this house, but I have to dust once a week or more. Like, I'm dusting every day to try to keep the dust down in my house. And I mean, obviously I had to dust other houses, but this town that I live in apparently has a lot of dust, which is also causes a lot of people have really bad allergies. So because dust tends to collect on my projects, and it's hard to clean them if they don't have glass. If they have glass or plexiglass, I could just wipe it down. So I do have a lot of glass, which means that a lot of my projects cannot go behind me for my floss tubes, because you wouldn't be able to see them. You just see a big old ring light. That wouldn't be fun. Yes. I also wanted to say really quickly that I did announce a giveaway last week, and the winner has not contacted me. So please, if you entered my giveaway and you haven't looked at that video, please go look at my, not last week, 2 weeks ago video, and email me or message me, DM me on Instagram, so that I can get out your prize to you, because if you don't contact me, I will have to redraw. So, and I don't want to have to do that. The very last thing I have is some happy mail, and this was a complete surprise. This is the first time I've received just surprise happy. I've done like swaps and stuff, so like obviously I knew I was getting something in the swap, but I haven't had someone just send me something by complete surprise. Well, no, so that's a lie. So Sarah sent me this fabric. So that was happy mail, and it was so much fun. But this one I just didn't even know was coming. And so we had a postman at the door, and they were like, oh, you have a package. And then I heard who it was and the address, and I knew exactly who it was. And so it's from Allie Peterson. She is Cozy Cabin Stitching. She has a floss tube. She hasn't posted a video recently, but I will still link her. And then she has an Instagram, and she's also a designer. So definitely check her out. But she won my giveaway, and from a couple, I don't know, like a month ago or so, she won my mini folio, and I sent it to her, and she just completely surprised me with a thank you card and a little gift back. So she sent me this beautiful little card. I'm not going to read it, but she sent me this beautiful card. So thank you so much. And then she sent me this beautiful needle book. And she made it, oh my goodness, look at this. It's got a little stitched on heart. And I love these colors. I love this print. And then it's got little pages for your needles, and then it's got little slots here so you can like put things in it, and then this one has like a pocket, a bigger pocket. It's so cute. And yeah, I just totally wasn't expecting it. And I actually, if y'all have been around, you know, I'm a college professor and I'm an attorney, and I was actually like about to leave for court, and I had a particularly, everything was fine, but it was a rough court day. I work with kids in the court system, so sometimes the cases I do are pretty sad. Sometimes they're really hard, like they make you feel really good, but a lot of my cases are pretty sad because I do work with children in the juvenile system, who are like in custody cases or guardianships, or like have been taken into like tribal custody. And so yeah, a lot of times when I have to go to court, it's not a feel good situation. And so I was heading off to some cases that I knew were gonna be like hard, and so to have this like beautiful little gift just show up at my door like was just a really great thing to have happen. So thank you so much. And I did message her and everything already. So I also I had a shout out that I was going to make at the beginning of the video, and I'm looking it up so I make sure I say her channel correctly because I don't want to get anyone's channel wrong. Joanne, the Eclectic Stitcher, gave me a shout out in her video. And so thank you so much, Joanne. I'm going to link her below as well. Definitely check her out. She has a lot of different projects. She's really fun to watch. And I met her at the Midsummer Stitch. We were in a room together, and she was, yeah, we had a lot of fun in some of those rooms. And there's like a group of ladies that clearly they stitched together, and they were just having a great time. And so anyway, thank you just so much, Joanne. And I'll link her channel below as well so you can check her out too. So that is everything that I have for this week. Please let me know what you're stitching on for the upcoming season. I would love to know. And again, thank you so much for checking me out. I will see you in a couple weeks, and I hope you get lots of crafting time.